guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Cerise. If this is your first time joining me, I live in the Dominican Republic, and a little bit about myself, I love it here. I help people find apartments, and I also help people figure out how to relocate here if this is a place that they want to come to and live long term. So with that being said, if you're looking for a relocation consultation, give me a shout. My information is below. But if you're looking to rent an apartment here and be a landlord, that is totally possible. And that's what this video is about today. A lot of people come to the Dominican Republic and they love it. And they want to have an Airbnb here. Now, who can do that? Well, quite frankly, anyone can. You can even run an Airbnb from wherever you are in your country. So let's say you live in Canada, where I'm from. I'm from downtown Toronto, Canada. So let's say you live in Canada and you come here and you live here for like about a month. And you're like, oh my gosh, I love this place. I got a really good deal on my apartment. Thank you so much, Cerise. I want to keep this apartment even after I leave. And you want to maybe, go back to Toronto for a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months or even 6 months, maybe a year. But you want to keep the apartment. Well, you can Airbnb that apartment out. And how do you do it? Well, you hire a management company or someone like myself to oversee your Airbnb bookings. Now, there are a few ways that you can do it by subleasing. You can't just sublease the apartment without permission. You have to have permission from the owner. When you get the apartment, you generally should be renting from the owner in order to rent it out as an Airbnb. So here are a couple of suggestions. Let's say you come to the Dominican Republic and I set you up with a really good landlord and you make friends with that landlord and you say to the landlord, and meaning the owner of the apartment, and I'm not talking about with real estate agents, I'm talking about the owner of the condo, the villa, the house, the apartment. And you say to the owner, you know what, I really want to keep the apartment, but I would like to rent it out on Airbnb. Some landlords will allow you to sublease it. For instance, my landlord here, he's cool like that. If I tell him that I have a client in one of the apartments that I put the client in and the person wants to rent it out, he will allow them to do that, no problem at all, because for two reasons. Number one, he doesn't have to take care of the check-ins and the check-outs at all. He doesn't have to maintain the apartment or worry about much because you are taking that responsibility on. And your Airbnb client would be responsible for any repairs that need to be made if they damage any of the property. Of course, if there's something that goes wrong with the fridge or the stove or anything of that nature, the original owner would have to deal with that. Now, another reason why a landlord would not mind renting it out, subleasing it out for you to Airbnb it, is because they will get their income every month. They don't have to worry about having an empty apartment and not making money in their pocket. And one other reason I've really noticed is because they just don't want the hustle and the hassle from unhappy clients. A lot of people will come here and when they get here, they're like, oh, they love paradise. They enjoy being close to the beach or being close to so much culture. And at the end of the day, they tend to forget that it is a developing country. They start to think once they're here, because of all the conveniences, that they are in another part of North America. Now, of course, that sometimes can be true. I forget sometimes that I'm living in the Dominican Republic and not Canada, where I'm from. So, to be honest with you, it's a great place to live, and the little things that aren't so much like North America are quickly becoming very modern almost overnight. The Dominican Republic is growing very quickly. The prices in rent are going up. The prices in land, they're growing up as well. Housing market, oh my gosh, the housing prices, the construction, almost overnight. And a lot of people have been asking me lately, Cerise, why are the prices in the Dominican Republic getting so high since the world has changed? And my answer is always the same. The Dominican Republic closed down for 3 weeks when the whole change of the world started. And then the Dominican Republic realized at that point that they can sustain themselves without tourism. So they realized that yes, tourism is an added bonus to any country. However, it was not needed. It's wanted. Therefore, a lot of people started to raise their prices. Now, not only that, a lot of foreigners realized that they can now sell their properties as well. Before the world changed, it was more of a buyer's market, not really a seller's market. So if you bought something, you bet your bottom dollars you'd be holding on to that for a while before you actually could sell it back and like flip it, make some money on it. That is changing rapidly these days, and you can definitely buy something and you can flip it, and you can make a good few thousand on it just within the last couple of years. So let's get back to the Airbnbs. You find yourself a landlord, and the landlord says yes, because the landlord, again, doesn't want to mess with clients coming in and out, and the client that's, again, unhappy. And the landlord also knows that the landlord will get that income every single month. So you sign a lease with the landlord that he's not going to raise the rent, and you sign a lease with the landlord for a year, saying that yes, you will pay that rent every month, regardless if you have clients from Airbnb or not. Now that brings me to my next point. Is it possible to run a viable business here in Sosua, where I live, the north coast of the Dominican Republic, on Airbnb? Absolutely. If there's anywhere you can run a really good business on Airbnb, it is here. And the reason why is because Sosua is located in a tourist area. Sosua is a tourist area, and this where the locals live with the tourists, and it's not just tourists. The tourists become expats most times. When a tourist comes here, they end up staying longer. One of the things that I hear quite often from my clients when they get here is, Cerise, do you think I can stretch my stay in the apartment for about another week? And I'm like, absolutely. Just let me know. And then they'll be like, Cerise, I'm staying for a month. Is it possible to stay in this apartment for a month? And most times before, yes, because then I could switch a few things around and stuff like that. But these days, no. So when you get an apartment, you have to know and around about time how long you're staying for, because there is a lot of traffic coming into Sosua, and a lot of people are staying. A lot of people are not wanting to leave because it's such a beautiful life, and you also get a good bang for your buck. Even though the prices are rising on the rent, what you would get in a gated community here is pretty much really good, as opposed to what you would get for your amount of money in, like, let's say Canada. So in Canada, a gated community, you might pay like, $5,000 a month for rent. Here, you would pay $2,400 for a really nice 4-bedroom with a private pool and all the amenities in a gated community. So the rent is about half the price. Now, if you wanted to buy a home, a beautiful 4-bedroom home, you're looking at probably, and very close to the beach as well, $300,000 here. In Canada, somewhere close to the beach, a 4 or 5-bedroom home, you're looking at least $1 million. Okay, probably even more if it's located in such a beautiful place like paradise. Okay, so a lot of people are raising their eyebrows and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. The Dominican Republic used to be less expensive. Absolutely, it used to be less expensive than it is now, but it's still less expensive than what you would be paying in North America. I can only really speak for Canada, and I couldn't even imagine the prices in America. When it comes to Europe, I've never been there, so I'm sorry I can't say, but I'm pretty sure that your money would have a good bang for its buck here. Now, when it comes to having Airbnb, you don't even need to live here. All you need to do is be where you are if you don't live here, and you have a management company run it for you, or you have your friend run it for you, and you put it on Airbnb and you rent it out. There are a few downfalls to that if you're not here taking care of it yourself, and that could be the fact that when it's not rented out, the management company could go behind your back and rent it out when you don't even know about it. So you do want to be careful about that and have someone that you trust to have your back and to do all the renting for you. Now, most management companies would not do that because why? Most of them respect their business. Most of them are very professional. Now, if you have just your good friend here that lives in the countryside, and you're not paying them very much to watch over the Airbnb for you, chances are that they could rent it out just so they could make a good buck on their own. So you do want to make sure that you are paying somebody good money so they don't have to go above your head in order to rent it out when you don't know. Now, there are a lot of benefits to renting out certain apartments, because if you rent an apartment for, let's say, $500 a month, then you could rent it out for maybe $70 a night. And then in 1 week, you are pretty much making a good income. Within 2 weeks, you are paying the rent. Within 3 weeks, you're making a profit. In 4 weeks, you are doing very well. It depends on how much you want to charge. If you are a super host, then clearly you're going to have to make sure that you are on point right here. And the landlord is a good landlord, and they're going to be making sure that when the water runs out, they're there to pump it. If anything goes on with the electricity, you are on the phone with them on WhatsApp. Most landlords are pretty cool when they know that you are subleasing and you are renting it out. You do have to ask for permission from the landlord. Always do yourself that favor, because the last thing you want to do is rent out an Airbnb. The landlord doesn't know, they have no clue, and all of a sudden it gets destroyed, and then they're taking you to the Fiscalia as soon as you arrive in the country. The Fiscalia is courts. Some of you guys might be wondering, okay, what are the benefits of renting out an Airbnb aside from the money part? Well, the benefits are you have a place to stay whenever you come, and also passive income. Now again, Airbnbs are very busy here. Not all Airbnbs are busy, but most people look for the right price and they look for a nice place. So if your Airbnb is pretty and the price is set at a good price, then you're good to go. The reason why a lot of people look to see if it's a nice place is because they want to make sure if that's going to be their temporary home, they want to feel comfortable. Some Airbnbs, people don't really fix them up at all, and they kind of look like trap houses, and they don't really look all that. But if you were to have, let me give you an example, a scenario. I know there's one building, and some of you guys may know Europa on Pedro Clisante and Sosua and Bate. One of the highest tourist areas in the North Coast, okay? Now, that street right there is a very busy street, and there's one woman, two places in the same building. One woman, she's always busy, so busy. She's selling it right now, and there's no way I can even take my clients in who are interested in buying it, because she doesn't want to disturb her clients that are there. She's booked up all the way until March. There's no wiggle room. Between now and March, her calendar is packed solid. And that's it. And why? It's beautiful. She's a super host. She cares about her property, and she wants to make sure that when her clients are there, they have a comfortable stay. The other apartment, which is in the same building, never gets rented as much. It might get rented for about a week, and then another client will rent it about 2 weeks after that. Now, don't get me wrong, it does get rented. Some days, like, it will get rented for a week. Some months it will get rented for a month, and then it may be empty for 3 weeks. You don't want that if you are running a business. You want to make sure that you're making the income on it as much as you can. And the one thing that you can do is just fluff it up a little bit. It's not hard to go get yourself a really nice piece of furniture. This chair that I'm sitting on right now, I bought it for like 1,100 pesos at a furniture store here, and 1,100 pesos is like 200 and maybe 20 bucks, something like that. It's a beautiful chair. It's velvet, as you can see. It has nice wings on it. It's beautiful. It's comfy. And if you were to just have a couple of pieces like this and a nice little glass table, you don't have to have a lot of big expensive furniture at all. But something that looks pretty, something that looks inviting, that's what I would suggest to you. If you're going to get your Airbnb and you really want to make a good bang for your buck, the important thing is for you to have it look good. That's what people want. When they come here, they want a piece of paradise. When they're on the beach and they want to go back to their apartment, they want to think about the comfort. When they're cooking in their apartment, they want to think about, how much it's going to be wonderful to go home and make a nice meal. Most people, when they're here and they stay for a month, after about 2-3 weeks, they do want to cook something at home. They don't want to keep eating out and restaurant food and everything like that. And so they will go to the grocery store and they'll buy themselves something. So you want to make sure that when they're there, they have nice plates to eat on, nice forks. You don't just want to have one blue plate and one black plate and one white plate. You want to have sets, really nice like utensils and stuff of that nature. And those really don't cost a lot. Here they have a lot of La Pugas. La Puga is secondhand stores. And you can go to a secondhand store and you can get yourself a coffee pot, you can get yourself a teapot, you can get yourself a knife set. There's so many things. An iron. It's the little things that make a huge difference when people are renting Airbnbs, and especially when they're so far from home. So it is possible for you to get yourself an Airbnb. Now remember, always ask the owner first. If you are renting your current apartment from a real estate agent, then you have to ask the real estate agent to get it in paper, written down from the landlord, from the owner, that you are allowed to rent it out. Now, some owners, here's another tidbit, some owners do have their place on Airbnb. You might have found it on Airbnb. And then when you get to it, you say to the owner, you know what? Can I sublease this and put it on Airbnb? They may say yes. Because why? They didn't fix up their place and they don't get a lot of people in and out of there, right? So you fix up the place because you fluff it really nicely, especially if it's by the beach and it's a really good price. You fluff it, and then what do? They sign the lease with you saying that you're going to have it for the year, and then bam, they actually help you to do the check-ins and check-outs because they're used to doing the check-ins and check-outs. Not only that, they're getting their solid income. A lot of owners here will say, hey, yeah, that means I don't have to deal with Airbnb any longer. Especially if you have self-check-in and self-check-out. A lot of owners, even when they do have their Airbnb, their apartment or their property on Airbnb, they don't want to deal with the clients. They really don't. And you just give them a little top up every month. Instead of paying a management company, you pay the owner. And then the owner, some people may say, well, what's the benefit for the owner? The benefit for the owner is they don't have to do any promotion. They're getting their rent money every month from you. And they're not hoping and praying and wishing for people to come. And you fix it up as a super host would, and guess what? You will get business, and that landlord will be happy. The landlord gets a little bit of top up for managing it for you, and also the solid rent money every month. So you see, it is quite possible to have a passive income with an Airbnb here. Now, I would also give you another suggestion on how you can do it without paying money. Okay, so in another video, I'm going to talk about how you can rent an Airbnb without paying any monthly rent at all, without 1 cent. I'm gonna do that video in the next following days. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe. Huge hugs, everyone. Big blessings. And when you come to paradise, enjoy it. Treat yourself good today. You deserve it.